right, hey y'all, it's Nikki with the True Earth podcast, and I'm here to introduce, I was going to say Walker, but your real name is Denise. Denise, tell us a little bit about you.
Well, what is it that you want to know? Because there's a whole lot I have to say about me.
Okay,
So you have to be
where are you
specific.
from?
I'm from Kansas City, Missouri. I relocated to Arizona in 2017. My reason for relocation was to continue to be Mama Bear and follow my children who, once they both graduated from college, they relocated here for employment. And so me being a teacher since 2006, a long doggone time, I figured I can teach anywhere. And that's exactly what happened. So I packed up and moved to Arizona.
Yeah.
To continue to be Mama Bear. Now I'm Grandma Bear because I have grandkids.
I love that, Grandma. That's cute.
Yes.
Yay, Teachers Unite. Very cool. So yeah, we're here to talk about parenting. How long have you been a parent? How old are your kids?
Too damn long. 30 and 26.
Okay.
30 and 26. So I've been a parent for a long time.
Yeah. Yeah.
Can tell you a little bit, wrote the book about it. Well, no, I didn't. But I'm one of the ones that can probably add to the book of parenting. Okay. No, don't look at the camera, I guess.
I guess so. Yeah, I was like, I'm not sure what that means. You gotta have a whiteboard with like words or something.
So I'm not to look at the camera over there. I need to look at you.
Yeah, I guess so.
So if this is not authentic, I don't know what it is.
Yeah, I don't know who's gonna watch this, but here we are.
Oh, we probably get a whole bunch of these crazy folks.
So yeah. Okay, so how have you seen parenting change from what you experience now from growing your own children?
Parenting has changed from when my mother was raising me and my siblings and I. To me raising my kids, to them raising their children. Yeah. And I think the transition from me raising young children to you guys, your age group raising young children has changed drastically, and I don't like it.
Okay. I feel like you're about to come for us.
I don't like it.
What's the biggest thing that you've seen that you don't like?
Y'all too easy on these kids. Y'all give them options.
Okay.
Kids don't need them options. They need to be. This is what you need to do. You get options when you can add to the funding of the house. If you ain't got no money in the bills, then your option is do as I say, or go ahead and find another place.
Even for the little ones.
Well, they're going to have to figure it out real fast. That's why if you don't unteach that bad behavior, then if you continue to let that bad behavior happen, because little people turn into big people with bad behavior. And when you become a big person with bad behavior, that's when you got to go. Yeah. Now, where I don't know, but you can't be here.
So do you feel like as a parent, as you reflect on your own experience, that you, I mean, we all do the best that we can with what we have, right?
Correct.
So looking back, we can always, we can always do better. Hindsight's 2020, all of that. But do you feel like you, at least in that time, had the resources to teach your kids when they're frustrated or having a tantrum, like what to do with that in a productive way?
No, I didn't have the resources. I kind of just did what I knew.
Yeah.
Or what I had in my toolbox, and it's from what I saw and what was done to me, just kind of generations. Yeah. Was it the right way? Sometimes. Yeah. It could have been done differently sometimes, so it's kind of one of those mixtures where you don't always have to go to the extreme. For me, I don't have a middle ground, and that's just anything that I do. I don't have a left, middle, right. I go from left to right and forget the middle. So that's a fault of my a flaw for me. Yeah. So could there have been different ways? Absolutely. Absolutely. So I do tell my kids to be a better parent than me. But in some cases, sometimes you need to go ahead and go to the right.
Yeah. Yeah. And I definitely think there's a mix. I don't think with parenting it's just black or white, because if so, we I mean, no one has a rule book of if there's this behavior, then you react in this way, and then your child will react in this way, and so on and so forth. There has to be a level of us understanding their personalities, their own strengths, what they bring to the table.
What do they bring to the table?
Well, they're their own person.
So that's where the older my
Let's
generation.
Talk about it. Let's talk about it.
What the HEL Hawkinson do they bring to the table besides more money out of my pocket?
Well, yes, they bring that. They bring that, but we also decided to have them, right?
Correct.
So we also have to realize that outside of them bringing the stress and the headache and the homework and the bills and the happiness too, but realizing that if they are going to grow up to be bigger people and we want them to be able to have the principles and the morals that we believe are important, we have to communicate that to them, even in the youngest regard. So I'm not saying have your child make all of their decisions. I think choices within reason, within boundaries are healthy, because it's teaching them the thought process of what goes into it in the safety of your home, so that when they go out into the real world, then they're not frazzled, right? Like, what do I do with all these choices? They can kind of go through that same process.
I agree.
So I'm not saying have them make all of the decisions, but I am saying giving them that, as Josh would call it, discipline and the liberty, the freedom to be able to exercise those boundaries with you, is important, because if not us, then the world is going to teach it to them.
I agree.
And so when they get older, it's
I agree with that. I agree with that. It's like there's some limitation on that. So the options will be, do you want the red truck or the blue truck?
Right.
You're not gonna pull all these toys out. So either you're gonna play with two or you're gonna play with none.
Mm-hmm. And as long as you communicate that to them, we're only playing with the trucks right now because we have to be somewhere in 30 minutes, and it's going to take us too long to clean up all of this. So here are your options.
But I'm not about to explain all that to them. So
but why
what
not?
I see, what I see there's too much explaining going on. I just experienced it with my kids, and it was like a whole lot of explaining going on. And I was sitting there like, you did a whole dissertation to tell this child no. Ain't no way, and you can move water. I ain't doing it. No. I don't feel like going through a dissertation. Mm-hmm. No, it's no. But there's no why. I don't have to tell you the why. The why is I said no. We ain't doing it. Now, if I feel like giving you the why, maybe. But depending on I'm not giving you the why. I just said no. Mm-hmm. But I just experienced this it was a whole dissertation on why you need to share. Boy, if you don't get off that girl's toy and give it back to her, because I said so, because it ain't yours. Why? Is because it ain't yours. Mm-hmm. It ain't yours. So
you got a thumbs up from the back.
You got your
explanation though. It's not your toy.
It's not your toy. So you might all that going through the well. It's good that we share because it ain't yours.
Yeah.
You got your toys. She has her toys, and that's it. If you don't want to touch yours, don't touch hers. Period.
Yeah, I think that is the explanation, and I think.
But I ain't about to go around the block, up the street, and out the country to tell you that.
Right, and I think sometimes we have to say, okay, what is just a no, because that is upholding a boundary or setting something in place to protect them, and just no, that's it, and that's okay. But then also mixing that with sometimes there is needed explanation, so we have to use our own. What's another word for discernment? Our own gut, our own judgment, our gut feeling to say, okay, do I really need to go in this? Are they really just pushing my buttons? Or are they really trying to genuinely understand? How do I feel that out?
So I have a question for you ladies.
Sure.
What's the difference between a why out of curiosity and attempt to gain understanding and a rebellious why? How do you tell the difference between those two, and why are they important?
I guess it's the way that the rebellious wise on kind of, to me, is the body language. Kids can just, but why, Mom? We're right there.
The attitude, yeah, the neck.
You done already messed up with me, and matter of fact, I'm done with the conversation.
Yeah.
I would look at you look right through you like you don't even exist, because now I'm done with the conversation, because the next why is gonna be me popping you in your mouth. You're gonna be losing a tooth. I know y'all generation don't believe in that, but I still do. I believe in tooths falling on the floor, you picking it back up and just trying to put it back up in there or something. I totally believe in that now. Still. So don't call the people on me.
Blur out your face on that part now. So the why behind versus the rebellion. I think we would be doing our kids a disservice if, at least on the initial couple times, that we didn't explain the why. Because sometimes, even for us as adults, as we were talking about before, when we're reading our Bible, right, it takes us, me at least, or us. Some people don't.
Yeah.
But us, it takes us a couple times to get it. Like, I got to read it again, do like 8 different versions, figure out which one I like.
And try to connect it to the sermon that we had that came with the, so
yeah, so like I feel like on the initial couple wise, like it might take them a little bit of time, because just hearing it and not actually seeing it or understanding the consequences of it, it's hard to make those connections. When the rebellious part comes in, it's kind of like when they've known the why, they've seen the why, they've seen the consequences, both positive and negative, and then they're thus choosing to now just to ask the question for whatever reason, whatever motive that they have. Maybe it's to get attention. Maybe it's to push the buttons. Maybe it's just, who knows, but we know that it's not leading down a path of more understanding. It's leading down a path of, okay, now I just want to do what I want to do and kind of just be self-destructive. And that's not productive at all.
I agree. I do agree with that. So,
yeah.
The positive between, there are some positives between my parenting and the younger generation parenting. You guys do have more patience. My patience went out the door 30 years ago when I had the oldest one. And I still don't have none. They are all, I have no more patience, and I don't have a reserved patience. I don't have a patience that future. I don't have nothing. But you guys have way more patience than we do. My generation did, which is not a bad thing, because you're more. You are not so quick to go from left to right. Yeah. There's that middle. That's where the gray comes in effect for me. Yeah. So you guys do have a lot more patience, and you are you try the other ways, strategies, interventions versus one intervention, or the two that I had limited. I only had limited interventions in my toolbox, which was probably 3. Yeah. You guys have a lot more. You have a lot more. You study, or you look, or you research more intervention on how to deal with certain behaviors, unlike us or me and my clique or circle, or we wasn't researching it. We just like, we going, first of all, I done went to work, I'm tired. Yeah. I don't either. Matter of fact, I done went to work, and I went to finish up my class, the school, because a lot of us were in college, working and going to school, trying to get that master's degree or whatever to go to the next level, so that you guys can, so that we can afford to give you guys that your generation opportunities to be better than us. Right. And so to go research something and to look for other interventions, we just didn't have it in us. We were tired, just like my mother was tired, and the generation before that was tired. We were just tired, and so we don't. But with your generation, I will say that you guys have more energy, more patience, and more time to go look up different things on how to do things differently. And I do like that. For instance, I never would have thought my daughter would do this, but her baby is 5 months, and she has decided to start feeding him baby food. Well, for me, I'm messing with my phone. For me, she told me she fed him I guess pureed green peas, beans, some vegetable. Yeah. I would have went to Sunfresh. Well, back home we call it Hy-Vee or Price Chopper. But I would have went to Fry, Sunfresh somewhere, and bought Gerber out that jar, and been just content. With
she made it homemade.
Yes, would have been content with just getting that jar, the peaches, the apples, all of that squash. Yeah. And feeding that jar to you. But she took the time, and she had to have researched this, because she didn't get it from me. Of course, I'm a great cook, people. But not when it comes to stuff like that. So she took the time to research how to make more healthier organic food for when he starts eating baby food. And so she got some machine that steams the vegetables, and then it purees them all in one. And so she pureed him some vegetables, so he started eating those or whatever. And so she told me, I was like, oh, and so it didn't dawn on me. I don't know, something must have clicked in my head. And I was like, so did you make that? Because the jar that she showed me didn't look like, it didn't have the label on there. So I said, did you make that? She was like, yeah. I said, what the hell? I said, are you Betty Crocker now? I mean, what's going on here? But to know that she took the time to figure out a healthier way to feed her son. And I was like, wow. I personally wouldn't have nothing, because again, I'm tired.
Yeah.
I'm just going to go to the grocery store and go ahead and get this milk, just like with the breastfeeding thing. Your generation now has really taken to breastfeeding.
Yeah.
Where my well, I don't know if it's just my generation, or maybe for me that was never an option. Never thought about it. It didn't even cross my mind. I was like, they make Similac and formula infant milk for a reason.
Yeah.
Why would I? But for them, for like again, my daughter-in-law and my daughter, they came natural. Then I got a little cousin that's pregnant. I'm just breastfeeding. So it's just more. I don't know if it's more acceptable. It's just more. You guys are just doing things differently. So that is a positive for the way you guys are raising your kids. But then there's some things I'm like, y'all better get this together, because y'all got some hellions on your hands.
Yeah, I think there's a cool link between, like, we always want to leave the world off better than when we came. So I think it's cool that your daughter is, like, taking the time to do all of that, because that's what she, believes is going to be best for her family. Whereas for our family, I think I tried to make food once, and 20 minutes in, I was like, why am I doing this?
And she did say it took a while.
Went to Fry's and got whatever.
Convenient.
But I understood that, like, that is what was going to work best for my family. So I think if we join, like, what's going to work best for our family and the why, and then we bring in people in our family, whether it's our moms, our dads, our brothers, our sisters, to kind of just have those conversations or just be at least exposed to that, I think that that's really powerful. Because I think, like you said, we can just go from, okay, I'm just going to do what my mom did and that's it, and I'm not going to explore other options because that's how it's always been done. Or you could go completely left field. I'm going to say I'm going to do the exact opposite of what they did and kind of meet somewhere in the middle and say, okay, Mom, I'm choosing to breastfeed, or I'm not choosing to breastfeed because I'm tired, because I'm ready to go back to work. I don't want a 6-month maternity leave, or I do want a 6-month maternity leave, or whatever it is. And, like, including, I think, parents, right? So grandparents now, like, in that conversation, I think is really cool. That you're around to be able to experience that versus it being like, she's not measuring her life up and how she was grown to you and, like, your expectations, that she's creating her own pathway, but that you're also experiencing that with her.
And like I said, I thought it was pretty. I was like, oh, that's cool. I was impressed.
Yeah.
I was like, okay, well, come on through, Betty Crocker. She even baked. Matter of fact, she had revealed 2 things to me. She made a 7-Up pound cake for Christmas. I was like, okay. You made this? She was like, yeah, I saw a recipe. I said, well, come on through, Betty Crocker.
You're like, I like this new you. I like this new you.
This sitting at home is giving you some time to working from home. Is just giving you some time to find some stuff. So so it's just I'm very proud of her. So anyway, just her and my son. It's just seeing them the way they parent differently. However, I see in my son, he is kind of going. He's kind of using some of the tools in this box that we use with him. Yeah. And he would call me. He called me a couple of times saying, I feel like you're a dad, because my grandson's school called him because he was acting a fool in school. Oh, okay. And he called me on the way talking about, man, I feel like you and Daddy. I understand how y'all, how it felt when you guys got that call. Yeah. You had to go up to the school, and he had to go up there and talk to Carter, whatever that may have looked like, people. Right. But trust me, it wasn't just a conversation. Yeah. So he had to go up there and take care of business, and but the flip side is I kind of flipped it on him, because when he called and told me, and I was like, well, what they do to Carter? I said, did you get Carter's side of the story? And his response was, well, did you ever ask me my side of the story when they called you? I said, nope, you probably did it, and I ain't had time to ask no questions. I didn't have time to ask no questions. I said, you probably did it. Them people ain't got no reason to lie on you. Yeah. I'm done with it. He said, oh, but now you want to ask a question with your grandson. I said, well, maybe you should get the other side, but. Yeah. I don't know. Parenting is interesting, so. It is. I think where a lot of people kind of struggle is, like you said, knowing how to balance how they were brought up, and then figuring out, okay, now what
what do I do with this? Like with my own child, if I get the call, like, do I just go handle it? Do I ask questions? And it's going to be different for every child too.
Well, you know your child too. So if the school call and said that your child was tripped somebody, so and that's what happened was my grandbaby was pushing the kids down or something. Mm-hmm. Well, when Jay told me, I was like, I kind of felt that probably some Carter did. But again, I was like, well, what's Carter's side of the story?
Yeah.
And it's just, and he knew when you know your child. So if it's something that you know your child probably did. Now my thing, I was like, well, why did he trip the kid? I said, because did the kid trip him? Was he the one that got caught?
Right.
Or was he the one that initiated? You know, I'm asking these kind of questions. He said, but you didn't ask for me. You just came up there and beat the heck out of me.
Yeah.
Well, that's what I had to do because I had to get back to work, son.
Yeah.
So
I feel like grandmas though and grandpas. I don't know if they call themselves that.
They better not.
I'm like, that was weird.
If so, that's a little sketchy. little sketchy.
But I feel like grandmas, become a little softer is the word I use.
That's what they said.
When they have grandchildren.
My son, he said, so you getting soft on me?
Yep.
I said, am I?
Yeah.
I said, oh, Lord, look at God. I said, am I getting soft on him? I said, well, don't let the world know, honey. I don't want the world to know that I'm getting a little soft at my age.
Yeah.
So, anyway.
Oh, I love that.
Well, I think we should end this podcast and say something for part 2.
Yes.
What do you think?
Yes, let's do it. Thank you for being on the True Earth podcast, and we'll see you next time.